30 years old today, and if you asked me to describe the exact moment I felt the most secure in my entire life, I wouldn't tell you about a promotion, a milestone, or a celebration with candles and applause. My mind doesn't go to success. It drifts backward, quietly, to a single ordinary night that didn't seem important at the time, but somehow became the safest place I've ever known. It was 24 years ago. I was 6 years old. It was a Tuesday, though I only know that now because Tuesdays were the nights my dad worked late, unless the weather was bad. And that night, winter had taken over everything. Outside, the world had disappeared. Snow was falling so thick and heavy, it swallowed sound. Not the sharp, icy snow that stings your face, but the slow, wet kind that drifts down like it has nowhere else to be. The trees stood frozen and white, bent under the weight, like they were holding their breath. The sky was a deep, bruised blue, and if you stared long enough, it felt endless, like the rest of the world had been erased. Inside the house, everything was warm. I was lying on the living room rug, wrapped in a thick wool blanket that felt impossibly heavy. To an adult, it would have been uncomfortable. To a 6-year-old, it was perfect. The weight pressed me gently into the floor, like the house itself was holding me down, making sure I couldn't float away. I remember pretending to be asleep. My eyes were closed, but my mind was wide awake, listening to every sound, memorizing them without realizing it. The fireplace was the heart of the room. We didn't have a modern heater back then. The fire was everything. The cedar logs popped and cracked as the flames found hidden pockets of sap. Every sharp pop was followed by the steady, calming rush of heat moving upward through the chimney. The smell filled the house. Wood smoke, dusty old books, and something faint and sweet that I couldn't name back then. But now I know was comfort. On the stone edge of the fireplace sat the tea kettle. It wasn't shiny or electric. It was dull metal, scarred from years of use. It didn't scream when it was ready. It whispered, a soft hiss that slowly grew louder, like it was breathing. That sound told me something important, even if I didn't understand it. It told me my parents were staying. No one was rushing anywhere. No one was leaving. Behind me, I could hear paper moving. That was my dad. He was sitting in his chair, the one with the cracked leather arms and the slight wobble if you leaned too far back. At 6 years old, he seemed enormous. The light from the lamp turned his shoulders into something solid and unmovable. Every few minutes, there was the same sequence of sounds. A page lifted, a clean snap as it folded, a soft rustle as it settled. Snap, rustle, smooth. That rhythm meant order. It meant everything was under control. I know now that he was probably tired, maybe stressed, maybe worried about bills or work or the future. But to me, he wasn't any of that. He was a wall. He was proof that nothing bad could get past him while he sat there reading about the outside world. Across the room, my mom rocked slowly in her chair. My little sister was curled up against her chest, still fighting sleep the way only toddlers do. During the day, my sister was loud and fast and unstoppable. At night, she became quiet, her eyes wide, soaking up every word. Mom was reading to her. I don't remember the title of the book. I don't remember the characters' names. What I remember is my mother's voice. It was low and gentle. It moved like a tide, rising and falling with the story. She was reading about animals caught in a storm, searching for shelter. Even then, something about that felt important. While winter pressed its face against our windows, we were inside, warm, listening to a story about surviving the cold together. My sister's breathing slowly changed. Short breaths became long ones. Her head dipped and thumped softly against my mom's chest. She was asleep. But my mom didn't stop reading. She lowered her voice, finishing the chapter in a whisper, like she knew that even in sleep, a child needs the ending. Like she was stitching the last few words directly into my sister's dreams. At my feet, our dog shifted. He was small and scruffy, with fur that stuck out in every direction, and ears that never quite decided whether they wanted to stand up or fall over. His paws twitched against my legs as he dreamed. Every now and then, a quiet sound escaped his throat. Not quite a bark, just a tiny reminder that he was there, guarding us in his own way. I opened my eyes just a little. The firelight danced across the ceiling, stretching shadows into tall, gentle shapes that looked like giants, moving slowly together. Steam rose from the kettle in a thin silver line, disappearing into nothing. My dad lowered his paper for just a second, glancing toward the room, toward us. My mom kissed the top of my sister's head, and that's when it hit me. A heavy feeling settled in my chest. I didn't know what it was. I didn't have a name for it. I only knew I wanted time to stop. I wanted that moment to last forever. I wanted the fire to keep burning, and the kettle to keep singing, and the snow to stay outside, where it couldn't touch us. I didn't know about growing up yet. I didn't know about loss or distance, or how quiet houses can become. I just knew I was safe, completely, undeniably safe. Now I'm 30 years old. My life is full of notifications and deadlines. Snow is just something that slows traffic and turns black at the edges. I spend most of my time staring at glowing screens, thinking about what comes next. And when the noise gets too loud, when the world feels sharp and cold, I close my eyes. I go back to that room. I can still feel the rough texture of the wool blanket against my hands. I can still smell the ink from my dad's newspaper. I understand now that those nights weren't just evenings passing by. They were construction. My parents were building something without realizing it. They were showing me what love looks like when it's quiet. Love isn't always dramatic. It isn't always spoken. Sometimes it's just staying. It's reading to a child who's already asleep. It's folding a newspaper while listening for breathing. It's keeping the kettle warm in case someone wakes up and needs comfort. I wonder sometimes if they knew, if my dad, hidden behind those pages, felt the weight of that moment too. If my mom sensed the magic, or if she was just tired and thinking about the chores waiting tomorrow. I hope they knew. I hope they understood they were creating something permanent. As we grow older, shared rooms disappear. We get doors, then distance, then separate lives. Silence changes. It becomes empty instead of full. But that warmth doesn't vanish. It becomes a coal buried deep, waiting for the coldest days. If you're listening to this, you probably have a room like that too. Maybe it wasn't winter. Maybe it was a summer night with a fan humming softly. Maybe it was rain on a metal roof, or a grandmother singing in the kitchen. Whatever it was, don't let it fade. I'm 30 years old now. But the 6-year-old me is still under that blanket, still listening, still safe. And as long as I can remember that fire, that voice, that quiet love, I think I'll be okay. because winters come and go, but the warmth we build together never truly goes out.